You know what, let's pull all these things away, so I'm not worried about them being crashed. We need to reestablish. How's that? Put these over here. There. There we are. All the fragile things are. Way.
Yeah, it is nice and warmer in here.
It was unraveling in the most orderly fashion, and it wasn't.
It's exploded.
I know.
It's beautiful.
So we needed a reading today.
Yeah, I mean, I can just pick one if you want.
Let's see.
I think it's going to be very intimate today.
Yes.
It's always very intimate, but I think it will be small and intimate. And piney.
Okay, let's just read the ship of compassion.
Okay.
That's on page 44.
All right.
Hey, how are you? Good.
You're having a service.
That's the big plan. You know, show up. Yes, we're here. Something like that. You, sir, will be a part.
So,
Yeah. My name's Vincent, and yours is Mark. Mark. Did you just begin instruction?
no, I'm actually never to the water. And that makes sense. The building showed up. So,
Oh, good.
so for the circumambulation.
Really?
Yeah.
That's been a while.
That's the last time I met.
What have you been talking about?
I struggled.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Well, I'm glad you found your way back.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very intimate gathering today.
Seems so.
Yeah, kind of nice.
Has anything changed in the format of it? The last time I was here, there was changing
Probably,
the sitting and walking.
Yeah, it'll be roughly like that, but because there are so few people, we're probably going to do a more low-key version with more, we'll probably sit and recite rather than chanting. And then, hi Mark, with the guy. When I did it last week.
We're friends on Facebook, so it's better.
Oh, okay, great, yeah, yeah. But otherwise, that the structure will be basically the same. So it'll be familiar enough-ish. Saying, forgiving us, yeah. You gotta,
Treated like.
Wow, it is really warm.
no problem. I try to treat myself and everybody every time. So it's a perfect place to be like your friend. And in the meantime, there's 2 more minutes, coffee, if you need it, and things like that.
What health problem you were
I think.
Looks kind of messy.
Is it good?
I think it's messy.
Well, you know, feel free to recruit help.
It looks terrible.
The bar is very low. Somewhat. What are you doing?
I just wrapped the pine thing around the altar. I think it should probably look less like that.
Let's see what we can do.
Oh, you might want to take your socks off before you move there. Get pine all over them. Ooh, you got a point. I just did. I was unhappy.
Yeah, you got a point. Is it a real pine branch?
Yep.
Oof. Okay. Let's see.
Maybe if we use the pine, less like an explosion and not intentional. I don't know.
Yeah, that looks better. Looks better already.
Maybe if they kind of frame it a little more.
Oh yeah, that looks 1,000 times better.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks a lot better.
All right. Yeah.
So we start, you know,
I think so, and I don't think we're gonna do a full, unless Roshi wants to officiate and you do instruments and I do we're not doing it.
oh, I see, so I don't need to worry about officiating, good.
And again, unless he wants to officiate.
Yeah, understood. Just gonna rearrange my seating here.
Actually, yeah, that either way, if your instruments or that will not be in the seat.
Yeah, 100%.
Can you check my, I feel like it's that kind of train where it's not like kind of goes to the right place-ish. I'm not sure. Oh.
So is Roshi here?
He's here.
Did you talk to him about officiating?
No, because at that time there were so few people here, I didn't think we even had enough people to do the rest of it, but even if you and I did. You know, it's
I see.
It's very normal. We definitely don't have all.
Well, we don't need an altar usher, technically.
So I figured if he wanders out, that's it. And none of us, including Roshi, at the very end, I think there is.
Are you trying to tell me that I am timekeeper?
No, I can be timekeeper, but can you put it by my seat?
Sure.
Just for the recession.
You're not even
You can have guys.
Okay.
Keep an eye out. If we do 3 panels and Roshi seems like he's about to recess out,
Will do.
and hey, actually that's a thing, can you take just the bowing bell by your seat? I don't know if it's gonna come up or not, but if
Yeah, I'm taking the meeting bell also just in case.
yeah. I think in the mornings they use the medium bell.
Sometimes. Roshi told me maybe.
Okay.
So if you told me I should have it.
Yeah, okay, great. Perfect. We'll be fine. It's beautiful. We've done it's not that we haven't done this before, it's that we've done every combination of it imaginable, so we don't know which one we're doing today.
That's exactly it. That's the whole thing right there.
Managed to make it look less like a pine tree sneezed on the altar.
It looks more like art happened instead of like a pine tree sneeze on the altar.
You know, do we have time to clear the high seat? Because somebody's going to step up there to offer incense.
Right, I was going to sweep it and then realized that it's like,
Yeah, why don't
You might want to do that real quick, actually, because somebody's going to need to get up there. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess need at this rate.
I can thank you.
Okay. Okay. Do you know the timings for something?
No. I'm so helpful.
Yes, the timings for Sundays. We sit for 20 minutes and we walk for
10?
7 or 8. But like the actual walking part's a little shorter then.
When you do the actual walking.
So like if the period of Kenyan is 7 or 8 minutes,
Oh, yes,
the
of
part where
course.
you're actually
Yeah.
walking is
Sure.
shorter than.
Understood.
Wow. Someone used to realize this. What here? How they been doing it. Oh, I guess we should start this too. It needs some strategic errors.
Testing. Okay, good.
Thank you, Susan.
That looks awesome, Sebby. Beautiful.
I had to get a little assistance because it just looked like a pine tree sneezed on it. And I was like, okay, help, what do I need to do?
You got it. You got it. Yeah, oh, you know what? I need my, I had some text. We'll get my text from my backpack. And then we'll just have people come down and have a seat.
Cool.
We don't need to process it or anything. Keep it easy.
I think I did the beginning part of this. Turning the screen on. I think I did it. I guess I can check. I don't know where they
just read it all down.
Okay.
Just give people a short interview.
Okay.
See if you understand this.
And we're starting soon.
Yeah, just have a seat.
Sit in the first row, there's Sophia for today, for a little friendly. Feel free to bring a chair to the first row. If you like.
It's often said.
My pleasure.
Welcome. And Tenson, yeah, I think you get the honor of sitting in this seat right here. I'm here. Oh, not easy. Okay. I would do it, but I don't know if my voice would be.
No, no, it's fine. It's gonna be a low service today. You got it. Here.
Okay, so we're done.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in the front row for everybody.
No, that's not right here.
That's right.
That's okay. Don't bite. She won't do. Huh? Nothing.
All right, you motley crew, good morning. So we're going to do just a simple, low, easy service today. You'll benefit by having this around. This is our liturgy book, so labeled. There ought to be enough around for everybody. And very simply, we'll just recite the liturgy together. For those to whom this is new, I'll simply say that this is a feature of our temple, the text that we recite here together. And honestly, if you had nothing other than the text within this liturgy as a message in a bottle, basically, I would say the entire Buddha Dharma is there for you. So we have it as a trifold. You're welcome to take it home with you if you don't already have one there. So if you would open up to page 2 where it says Daily Liturgy, the Gatha of Atonement. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha, just say it with me. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I'm the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I'm of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I'm of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. To me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, and may their vows be completely realized. May I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred. Being close to some and distant from others, how wonderful it would be, may this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be, may this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be, may this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be, may this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Our reading is The Ship of Compassion, I believe on page 44 of the Spiral Bound reading book, which I do not have a copy of. Thank you, Suzanne. Page 44. The Ship of Compassion. Night rain washes from the mountain cliffs. The dawn greens soaked through. Sitting, I meditate on emptiness as fresh breezes fill the temple. Words are inherently empty, and yet still I am fond of brush and ink. My mind like ashes after the fire, and yet still I am tied to the world. Window bamboo, empty mind, courtyard pine, innate purity. The trunk of this lofty green tree, neither inherently form nor no form, between bell and fish drum, I have yet to grasp the essence of Dharma, yet I get a whiff of its fragrance, as if I were aboard the ship of compassion. Turn now, if you would, to page 5 in the liturgy book, The Harmony of Relative and Absolute, and we'll just read that together. The harmony of relative and absolute. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed from west to east. Among human beings are wise ones and fools, but in the way there is no northern or southern ancestor. The subtle source is clear and bright. The tributary streams flow through the darkness. To be attached to things is illusion. To encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. Each and all the subjective and objective spheres are related and at the same time independent. Related, yet working differently, though each keeps its own place. Form makes the character and appearance different. Sounds distinguish comfort and discomfort. The dark makes all words one. The brightness distinguishes good and bad phrases. The four elements return to their nature as a child to its mother. Fire is hot, wind moves, water is wet, earth hard, eyes see, ears hear, nose smells, tongue tastes the salt and sour. Each is independent of the other. Cause and effect must return to the great reality. The words high and low are used relatively. Within light there is darkness. Try to understand that darkness. Within darkness there is light, but do not look for that light. Light and darkness are a pair, not one, not two, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. Each thing has its own intrinsic value and is related to everything else in function and position. Ordinary life fits the absolute as a box and its lid. Light works together with the relative like two arrows meeting in midair. Reading words, you should grasp the great reality. Do not judge by any standards. If you do not see the way, you do not see it, even as you walk on it. When you walk the way, it is not near, it is not far. But if you are confused, mountains and rivers block your way. I respectfully urge you who study the mystery, do not pass your days and nights in vain. All living things are one seamless body and pass quickly from dark to dark. Remember you who cared for us and are gone, you who are ill, who are at war, who are hungry, and who are in pain. May you heal and have peace. We particularly call to mind Ashley, William, Christy. May they heal all their ills. Lorraine, Matthew, and Owen at the time of their deaths. And also for a moment, just call to mind any situation personal to you that could use a little good karma and healing energy. Situation that is somewhat more distant from you that could use healing. And a situation globally that could use healing. For all these intentions, voiced and kept in the silence of our hearts, may we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. So while I offer some incense, I invite you to stand and stretch for a moment, and then when that's done, we'll sit in meditation together for maybe 15 minutes or so. So while I get the altar ready, prepare your body for a bit of meditation time. Any comfortable position is fine. So we'll now practice walking meditation. Reverend Eugen, if you would mind moving over so you can leave the monastery side. One important thing, make sure that your feet agree before you try to stand. If this is new to you, you might have a new experience with your legs. So be careful about standing up, but please do when you comfortably can. The walking meditation practice has 2 gears, one slow and then one fast. Once we've gone into the moderate walking phase, if you need to use the restroom, please feel free to do so. sort of like a little Buddhist Chutes and Ladders. Do we have the Sangha Covenant ready to hand? I think it's in the liturgy book. Yeah, let's do that. What page is it, Susan?
Page 8.
Page 8, please. This is the Sangha Covenant, and we recite this together before the talk. We, the Daishin Hokaku Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please have a seat, everybody, and orient this way. We'll do a little bit of chanting today. The first is a verse on opening the sutra, and then when Tasha was done, we'll do the Bodhisattva vows together. And these are both in the liturgy book. I expect.
Page 8.
Page 8. Page 8 is your friend, yes. So we'll do, if you see on page 8, it says Gatha on opening the sutra. We'll begin with that.
Profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Okay, so again, thank you everybody for choosing to be here. This is a day that a lot of our Sangha members have family things to do. Almost nobody, I can't say no one, there are a few, but very few folks in the Sangha actually grew up in Buddhist or even Buddhist-leaning households. Some, a few, our daughter, for example. But that's, and I think Setsuka. I think those are two I can think of. So the rest of us are left with this bit of a quandary when we are so frankly and obviously countercultural in such a way. How do you navigate still being in that culture? Of course, lots of folks have to deal with this in lots of different settings and reasons. But I think perhaps none cuts deeper than your spiritual life. Arguably, your spiritual practice, the way you see the world itself, the way you see yourself, I don't know what could be more intimate. And so it's very challenging for many members of the community to navigate this. And, I recommend a very, very light and jovial touch. I find that that works the best. I have occasion every year to say something like the same thing, where it's, when I go to my folks' place, who I love very much and I owe an infinite amount to, my objective is to love them and to let them know that I love them, and we don't need to discuss things that don't need to be discussed, and we enjoy a Christmas tree and the gift of presents and Charles Dickens, and it's fine. You know what I mean? When we were raising our daughter, growing up in a Catholic household when I was young, and the same with my wife, Dawn Sensei, Christmas trees and gifts were a thing. So we continued that tradition with our daughter. She's turned out fine. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's okay. And there are many ways to re-see what the imagery actually can be pointing to in a way that's useful, every spiritual and wisdom and shamanic tradition known to personhood, to humanity, has in some way acknowledged the environment, in some way acknowledged, in fact, worked with nature, worked with the environment, our ecosystem, our place of being. And one of the features that we find is a changing of seasons. And it's the most natural thing going, whether we're talking ancient hunter-gatherer migrations, following the will to things to where they go, so that we can continue the hunt, or if we move into an agrarian model, or a nice little nook on the river there where the sediments come and we can raise crops and stuff. There's always been this intimate connection with nature and the cycles of nature. Oddly enough, not so much now. And that's a little distressing, perhaps. We can live in an entirely glass and cement world with pixels instead of flame, and with texts and Zooms rather than relationships, and being in connection with other Homo sapiens in a natural environment. So this presents a real challenge. And so I think it has always been so. I think humanity is always quite good at busying itself with stupid things. There's nothing new here. We're just really good at it now. And there are algorithms to contend with that are really hacking you. So be careful, be awake, be aware, right? But one of the things that we see in this hemisphere of the planet is that somewhere around this time, the sun, as you all know, is at its lowest chunk. It's in the summer solstice, the sun's pretty much right over here, and then now it's way down here on the horizon, right? And so somewhere around this time, we find that the day is the shortest that it will be, and it kind of hovers pretty much there for about 3 days or so, give or take, how you measure these things. And then winter actually is the time of increasing light. Every day of the winter, which starts now, the day's a little longer and the sun's a little higher in the sky. Fall is actually the season of diminishing light, and so here we are. We're just at the cusp where every day shall see a little bit more light, and spring is already nascent, is already inside. If we think of it in terms of yin and yang, perhaps you've seen the inescapable symbol, the circle with the little tadpoles in it, the one-eyed tadpoles, and in the dark one there's a light eye, and in the white one there's a dark eye. And this is symbolizing in a very clear way that actually at the extreme yang is yin, and at the extreme yin is yang. What most people don't actually know about that symbol is that it's actually a slice. It's like a slice of, like a bologna, and you're holding it up, It's actually representing a twining helix that's like this, a three-dimensional, like a DNA strand, you could say. Take a slice of it, and that's what it looks like. So it's complementary antagonistic spirals with the other force at the center, yin and yang, like this. So There's quite a bit to it. But one of the things that you see is that the extreme closing of the sun, then boom, spring is beginning to assert itself already, right? Now in our teachings, there's a lot of expressions like this. We bring pine in. This isn't just a takeoff of the Christmas tree, which was a takeoff of the Yule log and all that. That's fine. But the pine is one of those trees that kind of holds its own even through the dark. And so it makes sense that it and things like it would be brought into the home, however defined, whatever that was, to kind of carry the light forward, to bring some hope, to bring some fun, you know. And so we have it here on the altar, as we typically do during these seasons, a tradition far more ancient than most might realize. But this business of light and dark is not just in the Zen and the Buddhist tradition. It's not just a matter of daylight and evening time. It's talking about the basis of reality, okay, the way of perceiving the self and the way of perceiving the universe. And so we confront this thing called the absolute and the relative, the host and the guest. There are many ways of talking about it. Emptiness and form, okay? All of these different words and images point to the same reality, which understanding will do you some good, but not that much, frankly. It's something, it's more of an experience that one needs to have and to cultivate. But this business of light and dark, when you see it showing up in Zen teachings and texts, it's not just talking about, like I've been saying, the solstice and the evenings. It's talking about form and formlessness, right? The absolute basis of reality, the absolute basis of reality, the formless basis of form, right? What is that? What does it mean to encounter that absolute? And why is it even relevant? Who cares? Is it even a thing, or is it just a theorem or an idea, you know? And there's lots of interesting rabbit holes that one can go down. You can get lost in trying to study the Trinity's truth, or the deep meaning of the I Ching, or the esoteric teachings of the Golden Dawn system of the occult, or whatever. I mean, there's just an endless number of interesting and beguiling kind of human-made intellectual constructs. And I'll assert something a little odd, perhaps. I'll say that this is not among them. Not at all. This is not just an intellectual construct where we kind of cram reality into our ideas. Instead, this is a bit of a field guide left up to us from those who have traveled this inner path before us. And it is a sort of a field guide and notes to the traveler. And when you travel this land, you'll see the same landmarks. It's really amazing, you know. Imagine if there was some, undiscovered country that became known, and there were travelers who went through and they left little logs. Hey, when you see this big bend in the river, then there's this. And when you see this cliff, watch out, there's that. And here you are, hundreds of years later, wanting to explore the terrain, and into your hands plops something of this field guide. This is the best way, I think, to understand what these teachings are. If you just sit there and collect field guides and try to memorize them and quote them at people, what a waste of time. Just have some eggnog and get over yourself, you know. But if you take the field guide for what it is, it's an actual map left over from our ancestors and elders about a experienceable journey in reality that we can also participate in fully. And once you do, of course, you don't need the field guide anymore. You know, last year, I think it was, Dawn Sensei and Ryuka and I and her traveling companion, we went to London. And before I went to London, I got all the field guides, you know. It's great. Of course, being me, I wanted to see all the Harry Potter things and all the occult little places, and I wanted to see all the cool bars and the pubs and these things and some Roman stuff. That'd be fun. You know, that's what I'm into. Of course, the museums, you know. So sitting here on Imogene Road in Toledo, Ohio, reading the field guides of London is not irrelevant. But believe me, when you're actually on the street, then very grateful to have guides, a cabbie who can say, "Oi, this way," you know, people who know the terrain. You know, they're not exponentially like different order of human being. They just lived in London for a while, let's say, right? And it's very important to realize that in the Dharma, this is the way our ancestors are. They're folks, just like we're folks. There's no ontologically different quality that they have that we don't. However, they have gone on a particular journey, and they have seen through to the end of suffering, like for real. Like for real. They actually found a way to realize freedom from suffering. Not as a joke, not as a metaphor for someone else, an actual lived experience. So how do we embark our own journey into this business of absolute and relative, of Buddha nature and form and whatever all this is pointing to? Well, it requires us to, with hat in hand, approach the lineage humbly, but not without a critical eye. We need to keep our skeptical mind awake. We need to keep our eyes open, feet on the ground, and we need to be willing to admit that there are experiences we have not had, there's terrain we've not yet covered, and we very much would like to. Kind of a good balance of both of those is what's required. I find that if it's too much on either side, it doesn't work right. We need both wheels to be there. And so we have these field guides, we have these teachings. All the Buddha could do was to give notes and help and teachings. Teachings not for us to just memorize and spit back, to get a pat on the head and a good grade in our Buddhist class or whatever, but to actually ingest and live from and see what happens when we do. And so we gather together. And some way of organizing. How the hell do we do this thing? A lot of times beginning people ask, why this, why that, why these, why those, how come? And the answer is, well, because. Because that's how the tradition has been passed down. There's no magic in any of the things that is particular, but we need particular ways to access the magic. That's true. So we need a way to organize ourselves and to engage. And so with a light touch, but a firm and steady hand, we take the lineage teaching and experience that's come to us, and we mold it in a way that fits the lives we actually live. But still, this business of awakening is not a joke. It's actually a real thing. Light and darkness are a pair, not one, not two. Light and darkness are a pair, not one, not two. Within light there is darkness, but do not try to understand that darkness. Within darkness there is light, but do not look for that light. Light and darkness are a pair, not one, but also not two, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. This harmony of relative and absolute that we read is kind of a collection of wisdom sayings, I think you could say. And it's best approached, I would say, if you're reading through that and one of the lines seems particularly irritating or vexing or troubling, then I would ask you to linger there, because there's probably something there for you. At least that's been my experience. The things that I really thought, oh, what the hell, turn out actually to have something for me. Also, some of the things that are just intuitively really obvious to you, don't assume that you're correct. You might very well be correct from a certain point of view, but there might be more there. For example, light and darkness are a pair, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. You could very easily and credibly take this to mean, hey, sometimes there are good days and sometimes there are not so good days. But you know what? Like the foot before and behind, you just keep walking and it's okay. That's not a bad little chunk of insight. I mean, that's true, and actually that's a really helpful truth. Sometimes when we're having one of those bad days, we can chip off a little bit of the suffering if we realize, hey, that's what it's like to be alive sometimes. You know, it doesn't mean it's all roses all day, every day, obviously. So this is just one of those times. You know, there's times when I look into my kids' eyes and it's so wonderful, and there's other times I look into the mess that's behind where they in the playroom and think, oh my God. Foot before and the foot behind and walking. It's a useful teaching. But I wonder if that's all it's really about. I'm not sure that it is. In fact, I'm sure that it's not. Right? Light. Being able to see. Distinguishing form. One form from the next. Of course, you can see that I'm sitting here with a blue robe next to a black cushion and something with some red stuff on it. Because it's light. And because the light is there, you can distinguish the forms. Now, if you imagine that an eclipse and a blackout happened and suddenly we're in pitch black, you would no longer visually be able to distinguish between this blue okesa and this black zafu. Right? They're still there, but they're not. Not from the perspective of your eye. From the perspective of your eye, this is blue because there's light to see it. And there's an organ of perception and there's consciousness. When those three things connect, you can say, hey, that okesa matches your eyes pretty well. That's nice. It's a good color for you. But when the light goes out, there's no such thing. Right? Oh, why are we talking about that? Because it's important. There's something there for you that if you sit very, very still and you really do the thing, and you really take custody of your mind, the lights stay on. We're not trying to go into a blackout. I don't mean that. But there's a way of perceiving what this darkness is pointing to. There's a way of seeing even more clearly once you have what light actually is and what forms actually are. In fact, until you've actually seen into emptiness itself, you can't really see form the way it really is. Light and dark are a pair, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking. Each thing has its own intrinsic value and is related to everything else in function and position. What is the intrinsic value? Is this an early foreshadowing of capitalism? We can brand everything. We can sell it all. We can own everything and sell chunks. No, no, no. This is a misreading. Everything has its own intrinsic value, its own intrinsic nature. That intrinsic nature, as expressing as you, as expressing as this coffee cup, the snow, the sun, the evening stars, the Christmas tree, if that's your fate. All of these things, the intrinsic value is completely beautiful and perfect and absolutely the same. Which wave on the ocean is intrinsically more the ocean than any other? Which dune on the Sahara is intrinsically more the Sahara than any of the other dunes? It's all the same. Of course, some dunes are higher and some are lower. They change a little bit when the wind blows. Of course, some waves are fast, some are slow. This is related to everything else in function and position. At this particular moment, my function is to be up here giving a Dharma talk, and your particular function is to chill and listen, hopefully. That'll change in a mere moment or two. The bell will ring, and all of our functions and positions will shift. I'll get out of the funny robe and be in my jeans, and I will not be on the high seat. I'll be at my mom and dad's place, having whatever they've made, and grateful to do so. We'll all be wherever our karmic forces will pull us to, right? Maybe it's an empty home, finally at peace, good for you. Maybe it's an empty home alone, oh my God, I'm alone. Maybe it's being around people, good for you. Maybe it's being around people, I'm so sorry. Maybe a little bit of everything, maybe a little smattering of it all. But the fact is, each position has its own intrinsic value. Every place is actually just right. And each place has its own way of relating to everything else. There's a particular function. There's a particular position. Don't be attached to any of them because you can't, right? That function is going to change. Your position will change. One moment you're the young person trying to find out what you want to be in the world, and the next minute you've done this stupid career for far too long. Right? Function and position. Everything is in a constant state of churn and becoming and letting go. When you try to stop that, it's as though you're going out there and trying to stop the sun from rising again. You're trying to get out there and push the clouds into prettier configurations. You're standing in the middle of the river trying to block it with your hands. Dude, just don't. Just don't, right? Whatever your function and position is, I guarantee you there are portions of that that are sad, that are cause for grief. But let it be authentic sadness and authentic grief, and then there's no problem. And also, whatever position you're in, there are joys and delights there. Enjoy them, delight in them, don't cling to them, or they too will change. In this way, we can meet each moment more and more authentically, more and more truly. Ordinary life fits the absolute as a box and its lid. Absolutely perfect. Or two arrows meeting in midair. You can't even say there's a difference. So while many folks today are listening to talks about the light of the world and all kinds of different images and metaphors and similes, I suppose in a way we join them, and in a way we stand apart. I tell you this, you are the teachings of the Buddha. You are the entire truth. There's nothing outside you that you need to import or amend or anything like this. You already are the entire thing. Realizing it, that's a job to do. Actualizing it, living out of it, that's an amazing adventure. But please trust yourself. And after the bell rings and we all go back to family, friends, or solitude, or what have you, intrinsic value is perfect. And function and position. Cling to none of them, and try to be generous about it. Let's all spread a bit of love and compassion while we can. May it be so.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way unsurpassable. I vow to embody it.
Thank you so much, everyone. That concludes our Sunday morning service. We don't have a buffet lunch today, but we do have coffee and tea, and if anyone would like to spend a few minutes hanging out, getting to know each other before we all disperse according to our various karma, we can do that out in the social hall. Just a couple announcements before then. A week from today, same time, same place, we have a big New Year's ceremony. Everyone's welcome to join us, 11 a.m., letting go, welcoming, happy to have you. And then also, starting the following week, we have a perfect class for people who are just getting started with their practice, establishing your Buddhist practice. It's 3 weeks, Sunday mornings, January 8th, 15th, and 22nd, and that's in person and hybrid for those who are online. So if you would like to participate in that, see me, see your mail if you're on our mailing list, or get on our mailing list if you're not. Thank you so much. Please restore the Zendo.